Hello and welcome. This is TVC News at 10. More and more cases of attacks are still being recorded on a daily basis, and concerns have continued to grow over the space of insecurity in the country. President Muhammadu Buhari has now met with former heads of state at the presidential villa in Abuja to discuss issues bordering on security and other national matters. The president is also expected to meet security chiefs on Tuesday to get updates on the security situation, as well as develop another proactive approach in addressing the issue. The president's decision is a response to matters arising at the Council of State meeting attended by all living former heads of state, state governors, and other members of council. TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde reports.
According to data released by Nigeria Security Tracker, more than 2,000 people were killed, while 1,484 were abducted in Nigeria from January to March this year. This frightening data sums up the concerns of the Nigeria Council of State. President Muhammadu Buhari will now call for a security meeting on Tuesday to address issues of insecurity raised by Council, especially food security.
The President was more concerned also on the food security and the need for a secured country where farmers will go back to land and continue to produce.
The planned head count was also presented to Council, a crucial exercise that will help the country plan for growth and development. The United Nations Population Fund recommends that census should be conducted at least once in 10 years. But Nigeria is about 6 years behind schedule after failing to conduct a head count in 2016. The National Population Commission now says it will conduct a housing and population census after next year's general election.
There is no need for people to move to be counted in their either local government or their hometowns. Stay where you are and earn your living and be counted there.
The Presidential Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy submitted its report to Council and got approval for 159 people to be granted pardon. Last year, President Muhammadu Buhari promised the leaders and people of Ogoniland that he will consider clemency for environmental rights activist Ken Saro-Wiwa. However, the identity of the beneficiaries of Mr. President's Prerogative of Mercy is still unknown.
The Council considered the report and the submission, and at the end of the day, supported and advised the President to grant pardon, mercy, clemency, respite, remittances, and concessions to about 159 people.
It was also disclosed at the end of the Council of State meeting that 434 Nigerians will be added to the federal government's roll call of honor. It was a well-attended National Council of State meeting, an indication that all hands are on deck in the interest of the country. But the issue of insecurity continues to stick out like a sore thumb. Now all eyes are on Mr. President's next meeting with the service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, as the country desperately desires an end to the killings, kidnappings, and other forms of violent crimes. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Barely 48 hours after their abduction, the students of College of Health Sciences and Technology, SAFE in Zamfara State, have regained their freedom. They were released voluntarily by their abductors this evening. Authorities in the college say the 4 students were released by their captors at Hegimbaza, a community in SAFE local government area. The students are currently undergoing medical attention at an undisclosed hospital in Goso. Recall that 5 students of the College of Health Sciences and Technology, SAFE in Zamfara State, were abducted by gunmen Wednesday morning. One of the abducted students was released 2 hours after the abduction. SAFE local government has suffered bandit attack in recent times, which led to the death of the son of the State Commissioner for Security and Home Affairs, DIG Maman SAFE, among others. It is now 8 years since hundreds of schoolgirls were abducted from the remote village of Chibok in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. On the night of 14th April 2014, Boko Haram militants invaded the government girls' college Chibok and kidnapped 276 girls, mostly aged between 16 and 18. Concerned citizens and civil society organizations are still appealing to relevant authorities to ensure the rescue of the remaining girls from their captors. Jesse Tafida reports.
14th April 2014 remains an indelible date in the nation's history. It is the day more than 270 girls were abducted from Government Secondary School Chibok, Borno State, northeast Nigeria. 57 of the schoolgirls were said to have escaped almost immediately after the incident. The terror group Boko Haram claimed responsibility for the abduction in a video released by their then leader, Abubakar Shekau, on May 5, 2014. Who are we? Early negotiation brought a spark of hope. The 200 remaining girls will be released quickly, but this was quickly dashed.
This unconscionable act was committed by a terrorist group determined to keep these girls from getting an education. And I want you to know that Barack has directed our government to do everything possible to support the Nigerian government's efforts to find these girls and bring them home.
All negotiation came to a standstill until 13th October 2016, when 21 out of the girls were released. The successful negotiations between the federal government and the militant group renewed hope that more of the girls will soon come out from captivity. Demands for the release of the remaining girls have been relentless since then, with little results.
They should sit down and strategize what is happening, that this particular thing is not coming to an end. And not only the Chibok girls, there are so many girls who are in captivity.
The Ministry of Defense working on safe school declaration to ensure protection of children in school are well protected.
So I want to use this opportunity to call on the government and relevant agencies to wake up to their own responsibilities to ensure that people's lives and property are protected.
The abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls remain fresh in the minds of Nigerians. Several other abductions have followed, like the 110 schoolgirls from Government Science and Technical College Dapchi in Yobe State. Concerned citizens are of the view that Nigerian authorities need to live up to their pledge of protecting the people and double up efforts to provide a safe learning environment for students in the country. Jesse Tafida, TVC News.
Away from security to the National Assembly, where the President of the Senate has set up a 13-man ad hoc committee to investigate oil theft in Nigeria and its impact on crude oil production and revenue generation. This decision is the outcome of the consideration of President Muhammadu Buhari's request to make adjustments to the 2022 fiscal framework. The Senate also amended the 2022 Appropriation Act, which raised the deficit in the federal government's budget by 965.42 billion naira.
After the Senate received the money laundering and terrorism prevention bill transmitted by President Muhammadu Buhari, the Senate considered an earlier request for adjustments to the 2022 fiscal framework. Chairman of the Finance Committee in his presentation says the total budget deficit is projected to increase by 965.42 billion, raising the total deficit to 7.35 trillion naira, representing 3.99% of gross domestic product, and also approved $73 per barrel as an oil benchmark.
The budget was based or predicated upon was necessitated by the new development both in the global economy as well as in the domestic economy. These developments include the spike in the market price of crude oil, aggravated by the Russian-Ukraine war, significantly lower oil production volume due principally to the production shut in as a result of massive theft of crude oil between the production platform and the various terminals.
But some lawmakers are concerned about this sharp increase and blame the country's economic downturn and drop in oil revenue on crude oil theft, and they set up a 13-man committee to probe further.
When you have a deficit as high at 7-point-something trillion, with a threshold of 3.99, which is totally and absolutely above the threshold as presented by the Fiscal Responsibility Act. It means that the budget ab initio cannot be implemented. We cannot have a budget with this kind of deficit, and then the financing items are so fluid.
I think we shouldn't play politics with this. The truth is, we need to find answers. And I don't think the answers are going to be easy to come by. Radical decisions would have to be taken. But before we find answers, we have to live with this.
The Senate also made amendments to the 2020 Appropriation Act to reflect current realities.
For contribution to the Development Fund for capital expenditure for the year ending the 31st day of December 2022. Third reading taken, and this bill is passed.
After the consideration of all fiscal documents, the Senate adjourned plenary as lawmakers are expected to reconvene on the 26th of April after the Easter break. From the National Assembly, Tijesu Adeoye, TVC News, Abuja.
The House of Representatives has exonerated the 4 oil marketers accused by the NNPC of importing contaminated fuel in January. The lawmaker has also approved President Muhammadu Buhari's request for 4 trillion naira as subsidy for petrol in the 2022 budget. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa reports.
First on the lawmakers' table for legislative business is the executive bill on anti-corruption. Mr. President's letter to the Parliament was read by the Deputy Speaker.
Resolutions to the deficiencies pointed out by the mutual evaluation report, thereby bringing the Nigerians anti-money and then legal actions in conformity with the Financial Action Task Force recommendations. While I look forward to your usual expeditious consideration of this submission.
The House also voted to reconsider the recently rejected Nigerian Maritime and Security Trust Fund bill by President Muhammadu Buhari.
The issue fundamentally, Mr. Speaker, relates to the percentage of deduction from the Federation account to fund the agency. That was the basis for the objection, for the rejection. So that one will be addressed and then returned to the presidency.
There were some minutes of an executive session as members met behind closed door. The House then moved swiftly to the consideration of 3 critical legislative duties, including the adoption of the report of its committee, which investigated the importation of toxic fuel. The report urged the federal government to expedite action on the completion of rehabilitation work on the nation's refineries. At the Committee of the Whole, members passed Mr. President's request for a revised 2022 fiscal framework.
Recommendation 1, recommendation 2, 3, 4.
The House separated the demand for 4 trillion naira as petrol subsidy into a separate bill, which scaled through all legislative procedures. The Chairman House Committee on Appropriation spoke to the nod given to Mr. President's request.
The budget now is 17,319,704,091.19. But personally, to me, I don't like subsidy. Personally, because we are just paying subsidy for nothing. If we are paying now 4 trillion subsidy, we better increase salaries of workers.
Plenary activities have now been put on hold as the House proceeds on Easter break to resume on the 26th of April. Joke Adisa, TVC News, Abuja.
Election matters. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has suspended the continuous voter registration exercise in Ihite Uboma local government area of Imo State. In a statement signed by INEC National Commissioner Festus Okoye, the decision was taken after an INEC staff was shot dead by gunmen. 2 other members of staff involved in the registration exercise at the polling unit are also missing. The Commission extends its condolences to the family of Nwokori Anthony and prays that God will grant them the fortitude to bear the loss. The incident has been reported to security agencies to unravel the circumstances that led to it and bring the culprits to justice. Ahead of the 2023 elections, some prominent Nigerians have unveiled the registration portal of the 40 million ballot movement. The movement, which is an emerging political force of 40 million voters, sets its eyes on evolving into the long-awaited third force that will wrestle power from the PDP and APC in 2023. Correspondent Ademola Lawrence reports.
In about 400 days, the seat of power in Abuja will be occupied by a new leader elected by Nigerians. With more Nigerians getting more politically aware, this movement called 40 million ballots want Nigerians to come out en masse to reduce political apathy. In their speech, political economist Pat Utomi said people should not leave voting of leaders for the poor and uneducated who are easily bought with money.
When you stay in your room reading newspaper or tweeting on election day, if you people that they pick up from around the place, who they can give a few 100 naira or 1,000 naira and rice and whatever it is they give them, will go and vote for them. Very few.
Other contributors said that the youth constitute 60% of the nation's population and that it was a wake-up call for their future for the movement's mandates.
We need to do something to take them out of the social media just to be commenting. They should cease to be commentators and become actors. And to this extent, this initiative is a further wake-up call on them to ensure that their future is guaranteed.
They also added Nigeria has vast opportunity despite the challenges, but wonders why the youth don't troop out to vote.
We need to do it right. We need to go out and vote. I have seen youth mobilize themselves. Youth who are ready to die during ENSA program. Why can't then we be ready to at least sacrifice, not our life, just 2, 3, 4 hours to go and vote?
Unveiling the portal, human rights activist Femi Falana said it was not enough to campaign, but to educate the voters on what they ought not to do, adding that most people have not registered for their permanent voters card.
Must take advantage of technology to mobilize our people, to register, to vote, and take back their country. And please, you are not just voting, please, you must vote around issues.
You see the way people are pursuing tickets of the APC and PDP as if once you have clinched that ticket, automatically you are the next president. But they have failed to realize that it's only the votes of the people, and by the votes of the people, they can be elected.
As the 2023 general elections draw closer, Nigerians have been advised to go get their PVCs in order for them to choose the candidate of their choice in the election. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Lagos.
Away from politics, the Lagos State Police Command has paraded Benjamin Ogudoro, a man who denied the killing of his wife and her brother in Festac area of Lagos. Senior correspondent Ivy Kano reports.
This is the residence of Benjamin Nkemakolam Ogudoro at number 5, Zone 5, Ote Garden Estate, Abule-Ado. It was here that a fire outbreak happened on the 1st of April 2022. Benjamin's wife, Chinyere, who is based in Scotland, and her brother, Ifeanyi Edoziem, died in the incident. Chinyere burnt to death, while her brother, who was rescued, later died in the hospital. This is the first time the police is parading Mr. Benjamin Ogudoro, the suspect believed to be responsible for the fire outbreak.
He claimed there was an argument and he set the wife ablaze.
Assuming my phone is here, I will open my listing. About 1 week before she came back, I even sent her 300,000 to pay for the accommodation.
50-year-old Benjamin says he had no reason for killing his wife and her brother.
That case is a case of fire incidents, okay? After I welcomed her very well, went to her room, okay, we stayed. After some time, she had a phone call and she said, baby, I said, yes. He said, please, this phone call, I need to take it where Ifeanyi is. It concerns us. I said, okay, no problem. So she headed to the guest room. I was in the parlor, okay, with my phone. I was chatting with my phone. So I suddenly saw a light from the balcony, okay? I saw that there was light, so the door was closed. I just opened the door. When I opened the door, the light, that's the fire, came. And I shouted, "Ifeanyi!"
According to him, the plan to sell their house was an agreement between him and his wife.
I did not make any effort to sell a property without her consent, okay? The time we wanted to sell that property was last year, okay? Our paper expired, and we needed to renew our 2 years visa for all the families.
But what was the relationship with late Ifeanyi Edoziem, his wife's younger brother, who also died from burns sustained from the fire?
He has stayed with me for more than 5 years, okay? So I've also been instrumental to his development, okay? He only left my house when he got married, okay?
Chinyere, who lives in Scotland, was picked up from the airport and taken to their residence by her younger brother, where they were consumed by the mystery fire. Meanwhile, the accountant, the police say, would have his day in court. Ivy Kano, TVC News, Lagos.
In the spirit of Easter, President Muhammadu Buhari has wished all Nigerians joyful and blessed celebrations. In a statement, the president urged Nigerians to increase their love for one another rather than hate and show more patriotism. The president said, quote, "Easter also evokes in us the resilience of the human spirit not to give up in the face of seemingly daunting challenges of life. This period emboldens us to believe that the current state of uncertainty and insecurity will soon unfold a season of triumph of good over evil, hope over despair, and light over darkness," end quote. The president also reminded Nigerians to let the security and unity of the nation guide their actions and utterances as another season of electioneering draws closer. The Federal Road Safety Corps has called on Nigerians to exercise more caution on the roads as vehicular and human movement increased across the festive period. This is in line with the agency's quest to achieve zero road fatalities this season. The warning was disclosed at the Easter Motor Park Mega Rally in Abuja. Maria Mohammed reports.
Road traffic crashes are now a regular occurrence during festive seasons. It is a trend many Nigerians find worrisome and one the Federal Road Safety Commission is trying to reduce. The number of citizens who lose their lives during road accidents are more than those who survive. This is why the Federal Road Safety Corps has embarked on a sensitization campaign to ensure a significant shift in the attitude of motorists this year, 2022. At this rally, the agency urged stakeholders to create awareness about the need to drive defensively and cautiously, as it is the only way to curb road traffic crashes.
Necessitated the need to meet with stakeholders to trend down road traffic fatalities by 50%. There is victory for all. Forward!
Stakeholders on their part pledged to do more to reduce fatalities on the road by providing moral, logistics and security support.
We have to use this opportunity to tell ourselves the truth. Please, let's put the roads, let's try our possible best. If not 100, give ourselves 70% of the road so that our comrades, our drivers who are applying those roads, we have a good journey to go. Seasons like this are associated with accidents because of mass movement, because of overspeeding, because of drivers wanting to make return trips.
In a bid to curb road traffic accidents across the country during the festive seasons, Nigerians are advised to put more effort in reducing road crashes, as the task is not just for the authorities alone. Maria Mohammed, TVC News, Abuja.
Welcome back. Salbas Oil and Gas has opened its second mega station in Kano State. The fueling station, situated along BUK Road in the state, will operate 24 hours, serving its customers with excellent service. TVC News Kano correspondent Ibrahim Isa reports that the mega station also provides premium services with pump integrity, a shopping mart, a unisex salon, restaurants, and other services.
Motorists troop in from various locations to get premium motor spirit PMS at the newly established Salbas Oil and Gas Fueling Station. This is the second mega station opened by Salbas in the ancient city of Kano, situated at Oparpampo on BUK Road. The officials mark the end of a 7-day test run and are ready for a 24-hour service.
Today is the closing of the 7-day test run, but the station is still running and will run for 24 hours every day.
Salbas Oil and Gas Fuel Station was established in response to demands by customers for a consistent availability of products. They are unique in terms of pump integrity and provision of services like standard lube bay, a unisex saloon, a restaurant, shopping mart, among others.
We have other services like a standard lube bay. We have the women and men's salon. We have a standard restaurant. We have a standard shopping mart and etc.
The station's brand ambassador and Kannywood actor, Alinuhu, and other customers laud the effort of Salbas Oil and Gas, especially in the area of ensuring adequate supply and sale of fuel at official price during the period of fuel scarcity.
Talking about fuel scarcity in Kano, Salbas Oil has really helped to see that that issue has been squashed within the metropolitan, and even people that are outside city usually come into town to get fuel from Salbas Oil.
You see how effectively the staff, and the management make arrangement on how customers can come in and then get the services with ease without having any difficulties actually.
Salbas Oil and Gas has 10 fuel stations spread across Kano State, with 2 as mega stations, 32 fueling stations across the country, and 2 depots in Ogara and Warri, Saple in Delta State. They are hopeful that more fueling stations will be established in a bid to provide employment for the teeming populace and provide quality services to vehicle owners. Ibrahim Isa, TVC News, Kano.
The Nasarawa state government has inaugurated a 19-member technical committee to guide the transition of the Marai Forest Reserve into a national park. This follows the designation of the reserve to a national park by the federal government in 2021. We warned that the following report contains scenes with flash photography. Gordon Agwam reports, after which we'll have business news.
In 2021, the federal government established 10 new national parks across the country. This policy is targeted at maximizing the tourism potentials of the country and tackling climate change. The Marai Forest Reserve in Nasarawa State was upgraded as one of the 10 new national parks. To ensure a smooth transition of the reserve to a park, the state government constituted a technical committee.
Remain standing for the national anthem.
Now, the state governor is here to inaugurate the 19-member committee, mandating them to justify the confidence reposed in them.
Members of this committee were selected based on their records of doggedness, experience, commitment, dedication, and of course, hard work. I charge you all to live above board and justify government confidence that is actually reposing you. At this juncture, let me reiterate the commitment of this administration to continue to put the tourism subsector as a priority so as to enable it serve as a revenue earner for the state and also a big employment source, for Nasarawa State.
It may not be out of place to state that this effort of the federal government of Nigeria is a clear indication of the country's commitment and resolve to further enhance conservation activities, increase the amount of forest cover under protective management, improve internal security, and ultimately reduce the negative impact of climate change in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and enhance socioeconomic development for the country.
The committee is confident that the task ahead would be executed with all level of seriousness.
We rest assure you the commitment to the task entrusted onto the committee and will execute it to the best and we execute it and give it the attention it deserves by the grace of God.
The state is the first to constitute a technical committee for the smooth transition to a national park. Godwin Agwam, TVC News, Lafia.
And in business news, in its bid to realize its target of attaining $200 billion from non-oil exports over the next 3 to 5 years, the Central Bank of Nigeria is set to disburse 3.5 billion naira as rebates incentives to exporters of semi-finished and finished products. Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Fidelity Bank, Mrs. Nneka Onyale-Ikpe, who disclosed this at a virtual press conference today on the conclusion of the Bankers Committee meeting, maintains that the development will enhance the capability of non-oil sector as a formidable foreign exchange earner. She noted that the policy will not only reshape exporters' mindsets, but will also infuse value addition on their commodities, allowing them to earn more forex. Meanwhile, the managing directors of Wema Bank PLC and Guarantee Trust Bank spoke on initiatives taken by the committee to strengthen and expand different payment options available to Nigerians.
Meeting of the Bankers Committee today, the central bank governor announced the immediate release of rebates totaling 3.5 billion naira incentives to our various exporters in the fulfillment of his promise in the race, the policy on the race to $200 billion from non-oil exports to boost the foreign exchange inflows into the country.
This is complementary and basically geared towards improving the efficiency of our payment platform systems. Very shortly, the NQR code will be acceptable in well over 176 countries. So the committee decided, after appraising the progress made on the adoption, to increase the level of awareness of this payment platform, considering the huge benefits that it brings to the economy.
We've seen over 756,000 downloads of the app. In terms of consumer wallets, we've seen 165,000 consumer wallets and 2,800 merchant wallets. And the advantage of the e-Naira is that currently it's at no cost. And one of the things the central bank wants to achieve is that it will remain cheaper, even if subsequently there's a cost to it, it will still remain cheaper than other transactional channels. And the e-Naira is a digital currency that has legal backing.
On the other side, the Association of Broad-Island Operators of Nigeria says the widening gap between the official and parallel market exchange rates in the country is driven by acute dollar scarcity due to the continued suspension of foreign exchange sales to BDCs by the Central Bank of Nigeria. APCON, in its quarterly economic review for the first quarter of the year, expressed concerns over the inability of the fiscal and monetary authorities to address the wide parallel market and multiple exchange rates in the country. The gap between the official parallel market exchange rates, it said, widened to 171 naira 83 kobo to the dollar as at the end of first quarter from 106 naira 33 kobo per dollar on July 28, 2021, a day before the Apex Bank suspended dollar sales to BDCs. The association also expressed concerns over the nation's huge public debt and increasing level of poverty, thereby urging the federal government to reconsider its strategy of deepening on debt to grow the economy. The West African Insurance Supervisors Association has announced the establishment of a College of Insurance Supervisors for the West African Monetary Zone. According to the Directorate at the National Insurance Commission, Mr. Pius Agbola, the objective of the college is to strengthen cross-border insurance supervision through information sharing and investigation assistance, which are in conformity with the International Association of Insurance Suspension Principles. Mr. Agbola, who was elected as the chairman, maintains that the new body will foster closer relationship by creating an enabling environment for the insurance sector to flourish, most especially through collaboration and harmonization of regulatory standards. The college is expected to greatly enhance multilateral cooperation and promotion of international standards in fostering favorable investment environment and orderly markets in West African sub-region and beyond. A cotton, textile and garment development forum is to be put in place for the industry's development. This is coming against the backdrop of the conclusion of a meeting on the cotton textile garment policy by the German Agency for International Cooperation, the European Union, and the Trade and Investment Ministry. Lara Folayo reports.
A national dialogue on the country's textile and garment policy. Participants speak on the huge potential the industry has, which has been grossly impacted negatively over the years. This is against the backdrop of the subsector having great opportunities for job creation.
In the army, for instance, I happen to know that the quantity of fabric they consumed last year, only about 10% of it was locally manufactured. They themselves cannot say they know how the rest of the 80% came in. Because you see, they give it to contractors. And then the contractors now determine what they want to do.
The operators are advised to play their role in the growth and development of the industry.
We compete with ourselves unnecessarily. But you can sit with them and say, okay, look, this is what I can do.
Exactly.
Is it possible that you can help me in that market?
Yeah.
To develop a market for this product?
Yeah.
And we collaborate.
The central bank, through the Anchor Bores program, has given support to cotton production, and this has helped ramp up output. The Apex Bank sees improved collaboration between stakeholders for greater results and advocates the creation of a cotton, textile, and garment council.
Let me be that we can say cotton production is fully back on track. Let it be said that next year we'll say, okay, out of 10 Januaries, we've been able to do like 12, like 7, or if you like, exceed the numbers. Let it be said that there are plans to bring in APIs to bring about changes in the technology base of the textile companies. We will sit with the garmenters, apparel makers, to say, what do you want this CTG development forum to push on behalf of your subsector?
The Trade and Investment Authorities, on their part, feel the dialogue is critical to a review of the country's CTG policy. The cotton, textile and garments industry is faced with a lot of challenges which the Central Bank of Nigeria has tried to address through various interventions. Lara Folayo, TVC News, Abuja.
Well, the stock market closed recorded straight gains in 4 days, helping price recovery in many sectors. Effiong Ekop has detailed reports on markets.
Stock trading in the week hits up securities prices and raised values to reasonable levels. Banking stocks stayed very attractive throughout the 4-day gaining records. Analysts talked about investors' expectations from companies' trade results for the first quarter of 2022, standing as prime incentives for market activities. The 4-day trades preceding the Easter holidays witnessed renewed interest in stock picks by investors. Market index was almost at half of a percentage point, while trade volume of 385 million shares brought a value of 4 billion naira. Effiong Ekop, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, outside our shores, Asian shares tracked Wall Street higher today, while U.S. Treasury yields eased as the dollar retreated, as the latest United States data raised hopes that inflation may be close to peaking, though several major central banks raised rates aggressively. Shares market sentiment received a boost from China's announcement late on Wednesday that authorities should cut banks' reserve requirements ratio, soon to support an economy battered by COVID-19 lockdowns. MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside of Japan rose 0.4%, buoyed by 0.5% gain in Australia's resource-heavy shares and a 1.2% advance in mainland China's blue-chip stocks. Japan's Nikkei was up 1.2%. European markets are set to open higher, with Euro Stock 50 futures up 0.56%, German DAX futures rising 0.56%, and FTSE futures gaining 0.24% in Asian trade. S&P 500 rose 0.2%, Nasdaq futures were 0.4% higher. And finally, oil price international market slipped today amid thin trading volumes ahead of a public holiday, as traders weighed on a larger than expected build in U.S. oil stocks against tightening global supply. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude recorded a price decline of 1.10% to hit $103.10 per barrel. Brent sells at $107.80, registering a downward price decline of 0.93%. Bonnie Light's performance is sustaining its greenish outlook with a price surge of 6.92%, selling at $101.90 per barrel. For the OPEC basket, crude dealers offer $106 per barrel, recording an increase of 1.54%.